Have you noticed that your heart changed before your life did, even though nothing outside looks different yet? Things that once controlled your thoughts and emotions no longer have the same power over you. The panic that used to sit in your chest has softened. The waiting feels different now, not as desperate, not as heavy. You still care, but you are not falling apart the way you used to. This is not coincidence, and it is not you becoming numb or tired of trying. Something far deeper is happening. When Allah decides to change your destiny, He does not begin by moving people, opening doors, or changing circumstances. He begins with the heart, shaping it quietly, gently, and without warning. Before the world around you shifts, Allah changes how your heart holds things, how it trusts, how it waits, and how it survives without guarantees. And if your heart feels different today, it is because your destiny has already started moving, even if you cannot see it yet. Allah breaks emotional dependence before He changes outcomes. Sometimes the change does not happen outside you first. It happens quietly inside your chest. Allah does not always remove the situation right away. Instead, He touches the place in your heart that was holding onto it too tightly. You may still care. You may still make dua. You may still want things to work out. But something important changes. You no longer feel like your life will end if it doesn't happen. You no longer feel that your happiness, your worth, or your future depends on one single outcome. Before, your heart may have panicked at the thought of losing it. Before, your mind may have replayed the same thoughts again and again. Before, fear controlled your sleep, your peace, and your emotions. Now, that grip slowly loosens. You still feel, but you are no longer trapped inside those feelings. The constant worry fades. The heavy obsession softens. The fear that once shook your chest becomes quieter. This is not because you stopped caring, and it is not because your heart became cold. It is because Allah is freeing your heart. Ibn Arabi taught that many of our pains come from attaching our hearts to things as if they are our source of safety. So before Allah changes what we see, He removes the false weight we placed on it. Your heart learns that safety comes from Allah, not from outcomes. Peace comes from Allah, not from people. Stability comes from Allah, not from situations. And when your heart understands this, something powerful happens. Even if the situation changes, you remain standing. Even if the answer is delayed, you remain calm. Even if the door closes, your heart does not collapse anymore. This is not weakness. This is strength. This is the moment when destiny begins to move, because Allah has made sure your heart will not break when it does. What once felt meant begins to feel heavy. There are moments when something that once felt right no longer feels light in your heart. At one time, it excited you. At one time, you felt sure about it. At one time, you believed, this must be what Allah wants for me. You invested your time. You invested your emotions. You invested your hope. But slowly, something changes. Without a clear reason, your heart starts to feel tired around it. Not angry, not hateful, just heavy. What once gave you energy now drains you. What once made you feel alive now feels like a weight on your chest. What once felt natural now feels forced. You try to ignore it at first. You tell yourself to be patient. You remind yourself of the good moments. You push your heart to keep going, but the heaviness stays. This is not laziness. This is not ingratitude. This is not you failing. This is Allah gently showing your heart that this path is no longer meant to feed you. Sometimes Allah does not close the door immediately. He removes the life from it first. So when you walk that path, your heart no longer finds peace there. You feel restless. You feel uneasy. You feel like something is off, even if everything looks fine on the outside. This is how Allah protects you. If He removed it suddenly while your heart was still attached, the pain would be too sharp. so he lets the heart detach first. The excitement fades. The certainty weakens. The emotional connection loosens, not because it was fake, but because its time has passed. Your heart is very honest when Allah allows it to be. When something is no longer written for you, the heart stops receiving nourishment from it. You may still stay there physically, you may still be involved, but inside, you feel empty. This emptiness is not a punishment. It is guidance. It is Allah saying, "Do not build your future here." And when your heart finally accepts this truth, something beautiful happens. You stop forcing what is heavy. You stop begging what is silent. You stop trying to revive something Allah has already moved on from. This is when relief begins, not because everything is clear, but because your heart is no longer fighting reality. When what once felt meant starts feeling heavy, it is not a sign you lost your way. It is a sign Allah is gently redirecting you to a destiny that fits your heart better. Allah removes urgency, but keeps your dua alive. At some point, something very quiet but very powerful changes inside you. You still turn to Allah. You still raise your hands. You still ask, hope, and make dua. But the panic that once lived inside those prayers slowly disappears. Before, your heart may have rushed Allah, not with words, but with fear. You wanted answers quickly. You wanted relief now. You wanted the waiting to end, because the waiting itself was painful. Every delay felt heavy, and every unanswered prayer made your heart restless. Then Allah begins to soften something inside you. You still care deeply, but you stop feeling like everything will fall apart if it does not happen immediately. You no longer measure your worth by how fast Allah responds. You no longer count days and nights with anxiety. The question of when loses its sharpness, and the fear that once followed every dua no longer controls your chest. This does not mean your faith has weakened. In truth, it has matured. Your dua becomes calmer, more sincere, and more trusting. You ask Allah while believing He already knows the best time, even if that time is not now. You begin to understand that delay is not rejection, and silence is not abandonment. Your heart learns to breathe again while waiting. Before, urgency came from fear of loss, fear of being forgotten, fear that time was running out. Now, that urgency slowly leaves because your heart starts trusting the one who controls time itself. You realize that Allah is never late, never careless, and never unaware of your pain. When this understanding settles, your dua no longer sounds desperate. It sounds steady, grounded, and full of trust. Ibn Arabi taught that the ego rushes, but the heart surrenders. When Allah removes urgency from your heart, He is removing the ego's panic while keeping the heart's connection alive. You still knock on Allah's door, but you no longer bang on it in fear. You wait at the door with certainty that it will open when it is meant to, and when it does, you will be ready to receive what comes through it. This inner calm is not something you force. It is something Allah places inside you when He knows you are being prepared for a change that requires patience, strength, and emotional stability. Because if the answer came too early, your heart might break under its weight. So Allah first teaches your heart how to wait without falling apart. When urgency leaves but dua remains, it is a sign that Allah is teaching your heart how to trust Him fully, not just in words, but in feeling. And when the heart reaches this state, destiny is already moving, even if nothing outside has changed yet. You can no longer pretend to be your old self. There comes a point when you realize that pretending has become exhausting. You try to act like the person you used to be, but something inside you refuses. The words no longer come out the same way. The reactions feel forced. The habits that once felt normal now feel uncomfortable, even heavy. You may still be in the same places, around the same people, doing the same things, yet your heart no longer fits into that version of you. Before, it was easy to ignore certain feelings. You could distract yourself, make excuses, or tell yourself that everything was fine. Now, your heart does not allow that anymore. When something is wrong, you feel it clearly. When something is dishonest, it weighs on you. When something no longer aligns with who you are becoming, your heart tightens instead of staying silent. This is not because you are becoming difficult. It is because Allah is making you honest with yourself. The old ways of coping no longer work because they are no longer meant to. You may try to return to old habits or old mindsets, but they feel empty, even wrong. What once gave comfort now creates discomfort, and what once felt familiar now feels distant. You may notice that your patience for certain behaviors disappears. You stop laughing at things that no longer feel right. You stop agreeing just to keep peace. You stop pretending you are okay when you are not. Not because you want conflict, but because your heart can no longer carry what is false. This stage can feel lonely. You may feel like you are in between versions of yourself, not fully who you were, but not yet fully who you are becoming. It can feel confusing, even frightening at times. You may wonder why everything feels different when nothing has visibly changed. But this confusion is not a mistake. It is a sign of growth. Allah does not allow the heart to remain comfortable in an identity it has outgrown. When the heart begins to change, the old self slowly fades, even if the world around you stays the same. This fading is not loss, it is preparation. Allah is making space inside you for something new, something more aligned with the destiny He is writing for you. When you can no longer pretend to be your old self, it means your heart has already stepped into a new chapter. Even if your life has not caught up yet, your inner world has. And once the heart changes this deeply, the outer life must eventually follow. Allah shrinks your world to strengthen your heart. There are times when your world becomes smaller, not because you did something wrong, but because Allah is carefully rearranging your life. You may notice that fewer people reach out, fewer conversations feel meaningful, and fewer places feel inviting. What once felt busy and full now feels quiet and empty. At first, this shrinking can feel uncomfortable. You may wonder if you are being forgotten or left behind. But this is not abandonment. Allah sometimes reduces what surrounds you so He can strengthen what lives inside you. When there is too much noise around the heart, it cannot hear clearly. When there are too many voices, the heart becomes confused. So Allah gently removes distractions, not as a punishment, but as protection. You may find yourself spending more time alone with your thoughts. You may feel pulled away from gatherings that once excited you. You may feel less interested in constant talking and more drawn towards silence. This does not mean you are becoming distant or cold. It means your heart is being trained to stand without leaning on constant stimulation. In this quiet space, your heart learns important things. It learns how to sit with itself without running away. It learns how to turn to Allah instead of people for comfort. It learns how to find peace without needing external approval or entertainment. These lessons cannot be learned in a crowded life. Ibn Arabi taught that expansion comes after contraction. Just as a seed must be buried before it grows, the heart must sometimes be placed in a narrow space before it becomes strong enough to carry greater responsibility. Allah shrinks your world so your heart can grow deeper, steadier, and more grounded. During this time, you may feel misunderstood. Others may not recognize the change happening inside you. They may think you are withdrawing, when in reality, you are being strengthened. What they cannot see is Allah working quietly within you, preparing you for a future that requires inner stability. When your world becomes smaller, do not rush to fill the silence. Do not panic and chase noise. Allow this season to shape you. Because when Allah expands your life again, your heart will be strong enough to handle it without breaking. Your heart chooses truth over comfort. At a certain point, something shifts inside your heart. You begin to want honesty more than comfort. Before, it may have felt easier to believe things that kept you calm, even if they were not fully true. You may have avoided certain realities because facing them felt painful or frightening. But now, your heart no longer accepts soft lies, even when they protect your feelings. You start noticing things more clearly. You see people as they are, not as you hoped they would be. You see situations for what they truly offer, not what you imagined they might become. This clarity can hurt at first, because truth does not always arrive gently. Sometimes it arrives and removes illusions you spent years holding on to. Yet even though it hurts, your heart does not want to go back to being comfortable in falsehood. Comfort without truth begins to feel empty. You realize that false peace never lasts, and avoiding reality only delays pain instead of healing it. So your heart chooses clarity, even when clarity stings. You may find yourself walking away from situations that once felt safe, but were built on denial. You may stop agreeing just to keep things smooth. You may stop telling yourself stories that no longer match what you feel inside. This does not make you harsh or cold. It makes you honest. Ibn Arabi taught that the heart was created to recognize truth naturally, but distractions and fears can cover it. When Allah removes those coverings, the heart begins to prefer truth, even when it is uncomfortable. This preference is a sign of maturity and inner strength. As this change deepens, you feel lighter in an unexpected way. Even though the truth can be painful, carrying it feels easier than carrying false hope. Your heart finds peace not in pretending but in understanding. You become more grounded, more stable, and more real with yourself and with Allah. When your heart chooses truth over comfort, it means Allah is preparing you for a destiny that cannot be built on illusion. What is coming into your life requires clarity, strength, and honesty. And Allah knows your heart is finally ready to carry that weight without breaking. Pain stops asking, "Why me?" and starts asking, "What now?" There is a moment when pain changes its voice inside you. Before, it may have spoken loudly with questions, confusion, and self-blame. You may have asked again and again why this happened to you, what you did wrong, or why Allah allowed it in your life. Those questions carried heaviness because they came from a heart that was trying to escape the pain instead of understanding it. Over time, something softens. The anger fades. The endless questioning quiets down. You still feel the pain, but it no longer pulls you into helplessness. Instead of asking why this is happening, your heart begins to ask what this moment requires from you. The focus shifts from blaming to learning, from resisting to moving forward. This does not mean the pain disappears. It means it no longer controls you. You stop seeing yourself as broken or punished. You begin to see the pain as part of a process that is shaping you. The heart becomes calmer, more grounded, and more aware. You start noticing what the pain is teaching you about yourself, about people, and about Allah. Ibn Arabi taught that suffering has meaning when the heart becomes receptive to it. When pain is resisted, it grows heavier. When it is understood, it becomes guidance. This is why the same hardship can break one person and deepen another. The difference is not the pain itself, but how the heart responds to it. As this shift happens, you begin to move differently through life. You make better choices. You protect your heart more wisely. You stop repeating patterns that once hurt you. Pain no longer traps you in the past. It becomes information that helps you walk forward with awareness. When pain stops asking why and starts asking what now, it means your heart has matured. You are no longer waiting to be saved from hardship. You are learning how to grow through it. And when the heart reaches this level of understanding, Allah allows destiny to move faster because the heart is strong enough to handle what comes next. Your heart remains with Allah without needing relief first. There comes a time when your heart stays connected to Allah, even when nothing has improved yet. You still feel the weight. You still carry unanswered questions. You still wake up with the same situation in front of you. But something important has changed. You no longer wait for relief before turning to Allah. You no longer tell yourself that you will worship more once things get better. Your heart stays present with Allah in the middle of the difficulty, not after it passes. Before, you may have gone to Allah only when the pain became too heavy, hoping for quick relief. Now, you go to Him because your heart recognizes Him as its place of safety, not just its escape. Even when the tears feel tired and the words of dua feel quiet, you remain. You do not walk away. You do not close your heart. You do not stop turning toward Him. This kind of connection is not loud. It is steady. It is not built on excitement or emotional highs. It is built on loyalty. You may still ask Allah for ease, but you no longer make your faith depend on how fast that ease arrives. You trust that Allah sees you, hears you, and understands your pain, even when the answer is delayed. Ibn Arabi taught that true closeness is not tested in moments of comfort, but in moments of delay. When the heart remains turned toward Allah without guarantees, it has reached a deep level of sincerity. This sincerity is rare, and it is precious to Allah. As this settles into your heart, you feel a quiet strength growing inside you. Not because everything is fixed, but because you know you are not alone. Your heart learns that Allah is with you even before the relief comes, and that knowledge brings a calm that no situation can take away. When your heart remains with Allah without needing relief first, it means the deepest transformation has already happened. The heart has chosen Allah for who He is, not just for what He gives. And when a heart reaches this state, Allah changes destinies for it in ways that only time will reveal. If you have felt these changes inside your heart, do not rush to label them or fear them. Nothing is going wrong. Something is being prepared. Allah never changes a destiny suddenly without first shaping the heart that will carry it. What you are experiencing is not loss, confusion, or delay. It is quiet work being done within you. Your heart is being softened, strengthened, and taught how to trust without needing proof. The waiting you are in is not empty. It is full of unseen movement. Even when nothing outside looks different, Allah is arranging what you cannot yet see. Every moment of patience, every silent dua, every tear that stayed between you and Allah has weight and meaning. Do not compare your journey to anyone else's. What Allah is writing for you requires this inner transformation. If the heart was not prepared first, the blessing would overwhelm you. So Allah works gently, step by step, inside you, before allowing the change to appear in your life. Trust this process. Trust the way your heart has changed. Trust the calm that replaced panic and the clarity that replaced confusion. When Allah finishes shaping the heart, the destiny will follow in its perfect time. And when that moment arrives, you will look back and realize that the greatest change did not begin in your circumstances. It began in your heart.